Доброго дня усім.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to
I want to present, я хочу презентувати сьогодні.
I'd like to present the press conference today. My name is Vitalii Kharechko, and today I'm going to be the moderator. I'm also the chairman of NGO Community Self-Help. Today, the topic of our press conference is a kind of reporting press conference, 10 months of achievements, crisis interventions, and building the network of international trust. So report and goals of the NGO Community Self-Help. Today, first of all, I would like to remind, I guess, or to pay your attention to the participants, because today we have the Day of Honor to Military Journalists of Ukraine. I would like to thank to all the military journalists. In particular, I know that last year, we have already those who died. So I would like to have a minute of silence to honor them. I'd like to thank to those journalists who now are actively working, especially on the front line. That's incredibly important, and it's a really difficult work. I guess each one of us is performing some kind of a role. Each Ukrainian is doing some kind of a role of a journalist and is bringing information, is talking to people whom they know or with whom they can communicate. Therefore, we are really thankful for this work in particular. Now I will announce a bit our speakers. Today, we will have 5 speakers. Communication part of the part of information war or anti-propaganda, let us call it this way, that is representative of the Community Self-Help, head of the communication department of NGO, Michael Radigan. And Michael is from the USA, and for a long time he's been living in Ukraine. He's helping Ukrainians not only, let me say so, from the point of view of communication, but I think that he can tell you a bit more. Also, we are having online Katya Koltso, professor at Wesleyan University, the departments of Dance, Environmental Study, and the Albritton Center for the Study of Public Life. And also, we can say that Katya Koltso is representative of the Community Self-Help and is the head of the Department of Community Self-Help in the US. Also today, I hope that technically Lorraine Mishchuk could join us. It's the General Director and Manager of the Medical Center Maximize Human Capabilities, Manitoba, Canada. Lorraine also, I dare say, represents the Community Self-Help in Canada. And let me say so that she's representative of the Department of Self-Help in Canada. It's our next speaker. And also today we will have Marta Pyvovarenko, our quality assurance expert for mental health psychosocial support services of NGO Community Self-Help. So she is the last but not the least in the list of our speakers. And I guess our first speaker will tell about the communication part, the one that in our organization that is fighting propaganda, or it's anti-propaganda. So Michael Radigan, the floor is yours.
For giving me the opportunity to talk. I'm from the USA, and I've been in Ukraine since the beginning of the war, and but I've worked here for 5 years, mostly with Ukrainian Catholic University. And so my background, I come from I live in Alaska when I'm in the United States, and it wasn't hard to see as an Alaskan, and also growing up as the son of a Navy SEAL and involved in the military myself, that there has always been not a suspicion, an obvious case to me that Russia was a threat to not just the United States, but especially to its neighbors. In fact, we never referred to it as the USSR in my house. We referred to it as the illegal occupation of Ukraine and the other Baltic states. So the idea of what we call the information war, the idea of having a sense of giving information that matters to people. There are two ways to look at that, two prongs. Can we convince people that when Russia has such a vast network of propaganda around the world, can we convince everybody that what they are saying is a lie? Probably not. But that's not what we're trying to do. What we're doing is focusing our information on what we are able to do here so that we can be very effective with the community that supports us, with our partners. We have a couple different prongs of doing that. We have oral history. In other words, that we have people who have told their stories, real life stories, so that this is a historical record of people who have been affected by what Russia has done, and that affects the lives of real Ukrainians. In other words, what that will do is that will touch that will be a human touch to somebody who is unaware that there's a human connection between what is happening here and where they live, especially if they live in a safe place, and the war seems like it's something distant, something unimportant to them. There's another thing that we do, which is storytelling, and storytelling is a smaller aspect of that, so that people can tell what has happened to them. If they are refugees or if they're IDPs, they can have a platform where, again, their record is kept, and that they know that and that other people in the world then can have that information. Who are the other people who are getting this information? We provide newsletters, and we provide outlets for this. I've written probably over 200 newsletters myself, and whether or not everybody has been on board with that, or whether or not that has spread throughout, there's always the invitation that real information has to be given to the rest of the world. When we're here in Ukraine, we see on a day-to-day basis what is happening, and I have as well. And as an American, and as somebody who feels a deep love for this, for the country and for the people of Ukraine, it is important for me that other people can find a way to share that experience so that they are able to contribute to our mission, which Vitalii had mentioned, and which Marta is going to talk about as well. What that means is that information is, in a sense, a weapon but it's a positive weapon. It has to be used in a way that we can translate to people the effect of the lives that are going on here. We can show them the actual consequences of what Russian propaganda, what Russian aggression has done, without having to paint a false picture. We cannot combat by ourselves as our community. The 150 countries that Russia has, information weaponized systems in through propaganda, social media. But what we can do is we can tell somebody who can tell somebody, and that message has grown. And we can see that message has spread. We've been effective because we can, over the 10 months of the last year, we can see that the amount of humanitarian and medical aid and the people who have been influenced and affected by the information we've been able to give them has mattered. Information matters. We know that. The way that we present information matters. Once in a while, I'll get a response from somebody that we're biased for Ukraine, and this is of course, it's almost hard to respond to that. But I have to say this as somebody who's from Alaska. So when Putin says that he wants Alaska, there's nobody in Alaska who has a problem with the information war and with the idea of that. I'm not trying to convince the entire Western world that what we need and what we're doing is going to influence the future, because it is. That's not the goal. The goal is to affect the lives of those who will listen, and those who will listen will tell somebody else who will listen. And so when we help, yesterday Vitalii and I spent several hours working with IDP moms and children, handing out and distributing vitamins that they couldn't possibly afford by themselves. In fact, the number of people that we helped was over 300. We were anticipating about 150. And it seems like such a small thing. But what that did now, how does that, then we translate that information to somebody. And somebody will think, well, that's such a basic item, a basic need. Why is that significant? Well, because it tells a story in and of itself that people are in need of basic things. People are in need of that sense of community. And the other thing that is always clear, and that I try to communicate, is that the resilience, the sense of humor, the sense of gratitude, the sense of unity that exists here is important for the world to see, because Ukraine is actually a microcosm of what it means to be a strong and functional democracy in the middle of a crisis. And so the information and fighting propaganda becomes essential to that. In other words, it goes back to telling the stories. It goes back to presenting information. It goes back to the idea that we have so many different lives here that have been affected that can be shared. So in other words, we also need to do another thing, to make a personal connection with people. In other words, that if this is your child, this is your town, this is your community, okay? Because it's not something 5,000 miles away from you. It is your backyard. And I believe that what we have done, and as our 10 months have demonstrated, is that we have been able to to bring people into our community. We've been able to bring people into the sense of what we do that's important. We've been able to hold workshops for people. We've been able to affect the lives of everything from babies to the elderly. And in doing this, and also working with veterans, and so all of this is information. Making sure that that information is dispensed clearly. My background also, not only in terms of military, but in terms of educational, because I've spent most of my time and most of my life as a teacher, and I also work with students at Ukrainian Catholic University. In fact, I've had students write about their experience of asking people in the world not to be bored with the war, about what the effect that it has on them. I also work with little children, and those little children have a strong sense when we start class. We usually start with a little prayer, and all those students, all those little 5- and 6-year-olds, pray for the soldiers, pray for Ukraine. They color in yellow and blue. They have a sense that this is our country, and our country matters, and country and culture and family are all related. And so Ukraine is really a microcosm for what matters to the rest of the world. And I think that we've been able to make an impact on that by providing information to people that gives them the chance to see real people, real situations, real lives, and the real information that can change points of view and also bring help to Ukraine.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael. Дякую, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. That's a huge job that is done by the team of the Community Self-Help, and it helps in different things, and it's incredibly important. I would like to thank separately, like all our work, all our help that we are providing to hospitals, to defenders, to medics, to IDPs. Maybe it's thanks to the work of our team, our like basic staff, or basic, like we have 5 participants of our team, and like from time to time we also involve volunteers and other team members. It's incredibly important at the very beginning of work to like the issue of information part, just to spread information, indeed what is happening, some kind of basic things. Like the next speaker, I guess I will present one more time. I will present myself, because like the key topic, the report and the goals of our NGO Community Self-Help. My name is Vitalii Kharechko. I am the chairman of NGO Community Self-Help, and in many things during this year I took a lot of roles on myself, because like I was specialist in logistics, and I've been like doing such things, so now I know where to procure medicines, how to supply that, how to do that easier, how to do that from abroad, and such skills. I guess most of Ukrainians got such skills in extreme conditions. But we live in such a reality. We need to adapt fast and to continue working. So before I switch to the part of the report, I would like, if we can do that, to turn on the video. That's not easy time for our country, and we received that via self-help community from American colleagues. This equipment which they presented us, we received that and we want to use that only for trainings. But if there will be the need, of course, we will use that in our work. We always, like when we go to some emergency situations, it means that there are some bad things happening to people. So we want these bad things to happen less and less. And with this equipment, to do only trainings, so that to help peace for the whole country. So thank you very much from the city of Lviv and the whole Ukraine. Thank you very much to American firefighters, and thanks to those organizations who are supporting us and who are helping. Thank you very much. Now I would like to briefly say that most part of work of our NGO is to direct the target aid to those who need that most. In given case, I would like to thank, before that, Michael wanted to add something, so before I begin, Michael?
The other things that has to be obvious is that in order for what we just saw in the video to take place, we have to communicate with people around the world, and especially with the English-speaking world. So we have, there's a massive amount of communication where there has to be written translation, where there has to be, where there's Zoom conferences. And I have the privilege of taking part in those, and then we communicate together as a team. And that's also an incredibly important part of working as a team to help solve problems, especially when we're working with an English-speaking world that can help us in a profound way. So.
Дякую, Майкл, за доповнення.
Thank you very much, Michael. Indeed, when we just started, we were trying to just provide the information about Ukraine in 8 languages. So we really thank to our interpreters and translators. We had the whole team of translators, like more than 40 people who were helping with, to translate from Ukrainian to different languages and to send all of that to our partners who are abroad. Our media who are working abroad, diasporas, and so on. And I would like to thank also our donors who reacted fast, and they were sending us support, help with medicines. I'm sorry. The year was difficult. Many losses. I'll continue. Therefore, the input of each partner, whether that is the private person or it's the foundation, that's incredibly important. I would like to switch to our presentation. I will try just how it works. So from the video, we could see that Katia Koltso is one of the representatives of Community Self-Help. She organized the whole community, actually, who were collecting medicine, financial aid, and I guess advocacy, spreading information about what is happening. And such target help is really needed in the country. Thanks to such help, thanks to funds, thanks to individuals, thanks to volunteers who were coming from abroad and they were helping Ukraine, we managed to organize approximately 24 projects that we implemented in 10 months of work. Now we are talking in the framework of report 10 months of our work, beginning with the 24th of February, ending with the 24th December 2022. On the slide, maybe you will see some numbers. Where did we spend money, or where did we work hard? So in like 90% of our efforts, those were efforts to ensure medicine for hospitals, medicine for veterans, for medical personnel, sometimes for chaplains. So in this or other way, it was in order to save lives, the saving medicine. So that's where we were paying attention most. We were planning that it's going to be that it's going to be the organization who will do the storytelling, like oral history. But we were working with medicine. We have a question? Sure. Just take them. Ukrinform, Serhii Bodnar. As far as I understand, the emotions are overwhelming. And because there are some reasons. You were mentioning that you wanted to do more with the information, with the history, with the stories, and it turned out that you were working with medicine more. I guess you saw a lot with your own eyes, and a lot of grief and a lot of bad things that happen to our soldiers, to those who are fighting on the front line. I would like you to clarify, why do you have such emotions? If I can, Vitalii, I will ask to put the video with our comrade whose oral history we were recording in December last year, right? That's, yeah, de facto before war in December. In February, it started, I mean, before the full-scale invasion. Can we have the video with the veteran? My name is Alexandra. I'm 27 and general in the army. On the contract, I spent more than 6 years, beginning with the 25th Air Brigade. There, I spent 2 years. Then I was transferred to the other unit, which was in ATO with no rotation. We had normal conditions. We were doing our thing, our work. I liked that. My story, there's a lot of such stories, but it was not highlighted. I found a real friend at war who's still with me, and that's my dog. Everybody knows that a lot of dogs died in volières because there was no opportunity to take them, and they stayed there and they died because of hunger. I guess it's really scary. I dare say I also took my dog from, I saved him from death because he was in Hordiivka and he was like closed and he ate even the snow all around him. And that's the German Shepherd. And he was eating the snow. And if not the guys from the right sector who saw him, maybe 1 or 1.5 weeks and he would have died. So they took him, they just fed him. I saw him, it was love from the first sight. And I asked my commander, he allowed me to take him to the base, but under the condition that I will look after him, I will be responsible. And we are together for like 4 or 5 years already. I would like to just recall that when the war became oppositional, the dogs, as like just ordinary dogs with no breed, they became an integral part of our positions because almost on each positions, and I saw a lot of them when I was serving in my last unit, they became like inevitable part of that because they are like the siren, so they hear that somebody is coming, they just feel that, so they are everywhere. Unfortunately, a lot of dogs died. I took my dog, and I can say that my dog is my friend, my co-brother, my personal therapist whom I brought from there, and I'm happy that it happened. So just to remind that we have our smaller brothers who are defending our country, and they are also serving dogs, and that's really cool. So those who can take a dog, who are taking this responsibility, just do that, because I took a dog and I liked that. This is my brief and simple story. I just wanted to share that I found such a friend for myself in my life. His name's Sam. He is, at that time, he was 2 years old. So when I took him, he wasn't trusting anyone. He was scared either somebody like was beating him, or he was just really scared. When you are going to do some things, he was like hiding all the time. So we brought him in the car, and for the first time he's been living in that car, he was afraid to go out, and the adaptation, so like with time he realized that I'm his friend, and I guess we needed half a year for that or even more. And now you come home and you're smiling because there's a dog with this funny tail who's waiting for you. And this is also responsibility because you can't go for a walk and come back in the morning without leaving somebody responsible for the dog. No, not really to have the responsible, but you have to have a person who can stay there instead of you, and I have such people. That's my story. Thank you very much for showing the video. That's the last story of the veteran. At the moment when we were recording veterans' stories, he was a veteran. He was going through the rehabilitation in the framework of this project, and after rehabilitation, he managed to come back to front. And during the full-scale invasion, he went to serve again, and as of now, he died. He had to leave his friend at home, and such stories have to be recorded. And as far as for all those 8 years we've been working with veterans, men and women veterans, you can just imagine what is the number of those whom we are trying to defend. We are providing paramedical support, and they are dying. So Vitalii has a huge number of losses, had a huge number of losses during this year. And these are the losses for a lot of people, but exhaustion, it also has place. Vitalii, can you continue? Yes. I think we need to stick to our time. I will present because I know that our foreign partners still they are limited in time. I wouldn't like to just have some delays, and as a moderator I will present our next speakers, and at the end I will finish my presentation and I will tell in more details the reporting part. Now I would like to give the floor then to Katya Koltso. She's professor at Wesleyan University and representative of Community Self-Help in the US. So the floor is yours.
And thank you, Community Self-Help. It's truly humbling to work with you. In May 2022, Humanitarian Outcomes, a project of the United Kingdom's Humanitarian Innovation Hub, reported that virtually all humanitarian aid inside Ukraine has been implemented by local actors, not international organizations. This means NGOs, church groups, and about 1,700 newly formed local aid groups. Though international NGOs and agencies received 87% of aid funding for Ukraine, they were not able to effectively use the resources to support humanitarian initiatives. Ukrainian organizations like Community Self-Help were. I'm going to type the report link into the chat for your reference. And I hope you can share it with the press that's present. I wanted to begin with this report in order to highlight the central role that Community Self-Help and the work of Vitalii Kharechko and Marta Pyvovarenko and their team play in Ukraine. Locally organized Ukrainian NGOs are the key to effective humanitarian work, Ukrainian recovery and vitality both during and after this war. The reasons for this are many, but there are three important factors that contribute to their efficacy, and they've already been raised. The first factor that leads to effective humanitarian work is personal connection, placing a human face on the crisis. The second is flexibility, and the third is long-term commitment and deep knowledge of the context. And again, I'm just going to paste these three factors into the chat for reference. Personal connection. Ukrainian NGOs put a human face on Ukraine. The United States has been inspired by Ukraine, but sadly does not know much about Ukrainians. Due to historical Russian dominance, we've studied Russian history, but we simply know less about Ukraine. Ukrainian civic NGOs, like Community Self-Help, develop direct and meaningful personal relationships and connections with their partners around the world. No intermediary, no bureaucracy. NGOs like Community Self-Help connect Ukraine to the world. Flexibility. I've worked with Community Self-Help, formerly under a different name, since 2015. But when Russia invaded last February, Community Self-Help was able to immediately restructure its operations to meet the new circumstances and needs. They were able, unlike large international organizations, to provide aid immediately and effectively. And the last factor, long-term commitment, deep knowledge of context. Community self-help leaders have been working in Ukraine in war relief and psychosocial help for years. They have a deep understanding of the context, and we know they will remain committed to this work today, tomorrow, and for the years ahead. Community Self-Help excels as an organization. Its personal approach, no bureaucracy, flexibility, and long-term commitment and knowledge are their success. Vitalii Kharechko invited me to talk about my collaboration with Community Self-Help, which began in 2015, but I'll focus on our work since last February. I live in Middletown, a small city in the state of Connecticut. Our senators are Richard Blumenthal, who sits on the Defense Committee in Congress, and Chris Murphy, who sits on the U.S. Foreign Relations Committee in Congress. They have specific roles in determining U.S. policy towards Ukraine. I also work at Wesleyan University, a top liberal arts college known for its activism. The Middletown Community Health Center is one of the first and now biggest public health centers in the United States. So we're a small city, but an impactful place. Last March, shortly after the invasion, two things happened. The first was a series of live stream conversations with community leaders in Ukraine that happened at my university. Marta was our first speaker. The audience includes my university, community, town, but it also included state leaders, our senators, and a network of Ukraine supporters across the US. The information sharing that Michael and others in community self-help do is critically important. In contrast to what we were seeing on the news, these conversations put a human face on what was happening in Ukraine. It establishes a connection and a sense of our common goal and principle of human freedom. Soon after, community leaders in my region approached me because they knew I had a direct, long-term, and reliable connection to Ukraine through community self-help. As I said, we've worked together since 2015 when we met at Yale University. The Middletown City Fire Department, our community health center, our community foundation, and Wesleyan University came together hoping to support Ukrainians. And only because we had the personal connection to community self-help were we able to identify a real need that we could meet and serve. And community self-help, only because it is local and flexible, was ready and able to receive and distribute our support to the regions of Ukraine that needed it. We collected 5 tons, imagine that's equivalent of about 5 elephants, of fire equipment and medical supplies and funds to pay for shipping costs. We had volunteers donating trucks and driving truckloads from Connecticut to the Meast shipping port in New Jersey, and were collecting over $6,000 of monetary aid. The project here was well covered by the state news channels. And again, thanks to their willingness to connect personally and directly with reporters, we were able to Zoom and interview community self-help staff live, garnering additional support from and informing, educating the American public. This alone was significant. But what's also worth noting is through their work, community self-help brought the Middletown and state of Connecticut together. Nothing, not even a pandemic, was as effective at getting Americans to work together towards a common cause. Fire departments across the state of Connecticut and even out of state brought equipment. Our mayor joined the effort. Our Senator Blumenthal came to the fire station himself and helped to fill boxes. He's nearly 80 years old. Senator Blumenthal knows community self-help. He listens to Marta and Vitalii. Community self-help has formed deep connections and bond with the heart of Connecticut. And in doing so, their work impacts Ukraine, it impacts Connecticut, it impacts US Congress and Americans more broadly. I would like to show a bit of a slideshow that was developed by our community foundation around this particular effort. Is it, oh, I'm not sure how to do that. Is it possible? I think I sent the link. Is it possible to show? Or let me try to share the screen.
There we go. Oh, good. Працює.
It's working.
Так, Катю, ми бачимо.
Yes, we can see what you are showing.
Share screen?
You're good. Ну, зараз,
Технічних працівників.
зараз ми, зараз
So now we, like our technical specialists are sharing. So it seems to me that you should, you can share your screen now, I guess.
I might not show the whole video because I won't be sure if it's working. Here we go.
Наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці, запануєм і ми, сестри, у своїй сторонці. Душу й тіло мій положен за нашу свободу. І покажем, що ми браття козацького.
Так, Катю,
As we move forward, we, the colleagues at Wesleyan University and Community Self-Help, are continuing our collaboration on Vitality Project Donbas, which is the project we began in 2015. We're publishing, in the midst of all the work they're doing, we are publishing a scientific paper and a book in English on the work that Community Self-Help directors have done in psychosocial health. Community Self-Help's goal of countering misinformation includes current events as well as Ukrainian scientific, medical, and intellectual advances. And this month, the Middletown community is making plans to join together again to work with Community Self-Help to support Ukraine. The Community Self-Help Center, our mayor's office, our community foundation, Wesleyan University, and our public school system joining forces again. Ukrainians say, together we are many, razom nas bahato. Community self-help is bringing positive change to Ukraine, and it's bringing positive change to the world. Thank you. Дякую.
Дякую дуже, Катю.
Thank you very much, Katya. Katya just added, because we've been showing the video, how we here are spreading this support to like firefighters or medicine. So Katya was speaking about the 5 tones, I guess 2 tones, not less. It was medicine. And thanks to our partners from the US, from Europe, it became possible to supply this medicine to those who really need it. Thank you very much, Katya Koltsa, one more time. Thanks to our partners at Wesleyan University and the community of Middletown and everybody who joined our work. And we are incredibly thankful from Ukraine, from our community self-help. And I would like to give the floor to Lorraine Mishchuk. Do we have Lorraine here? Okay, Lorraine Mishchuk, representative from Canada. She's director and manager of the Medical Center Maximize Human Capabilities. She is working on rehabilitation of people and also representative of self-help in Canada. So Lorraine, the floor is yours.
Acknowledge the amazing work that is done by Community Self-Help. And it's just such an honor, and I'm very humbled to have even a small connection, whichever capacity that is, to be connected with such an organization. Having the grassroots, boots on the ground, where you can be immediately responsive to the needs is, I believe, so imperative. And I believe this is why Ukraine has been managing so well during these last coming up 1 year from the escalation of the war in Ukraine. And so I'm in Canada, I'm in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and so my first goal was to assist with raising awareness of community self-help. And because here we have a very large diaspora in Canada, Ukrainian Canadian diaspora, and there's many organizations. It's amazing how the entire community in Canada just rallied to be able to support Ukraine. And individuals that are friends and colleagues that are don't have Ukrainian background or roots from Ukraine, really amazed at the level of activity that has been taking place. And so there's, like I said, there's many organizations, but I believe having the grassroots, smaller NGOs are imperative because of their immediate responsiveness. So raising awareness as well as local fundraising in the Winnipeg area is what I have been involved with. So I'll just give you a little bit of a briefing as to some of the activities that I've been directly involved with here. And so firstly, I have what's called this trident maple leaf, or our trezub pendant project. And so Canada and Ukraine have been very deeply connected for a very long time. So I developed a pendant that we have in silver, or it can be special ordered in gold. And it's a blend of Canada's symbol, the maple leaf, as well as the trezub from Ukraine. And then this is made by a local jeweler here in Winnipeg who also has Ukrainian roots. And $10 from each pendant that is sold is then donated to Community Self-Help. And so this had already been in place before the escalation of the war. And so immediately funds were sent to Community Self-Help, and then information I received back in terms of how the funds are being used. That it was medicine that was being purchased for Kharkiv and how it was driven out to the immediate needs, and then share this on social media to be able to help raise awareness in terms of not only the activities of Community Self-Help, but specifically how funds are immediately being used and that human component of the impacts of that. This progressed, so it began just being sold at a local shop here in Winnipeg, and now this pendant is available on Hillary Drucksmann. She's the jeweler. Her website, and it ships across Canada so that there are individuals that are part of the Canadian diaspora or not are able to purchase this readily throughout Canada. We just sent another $1,800 just in the last few weeks for pendant sales for the last 6 months. So this is, sometimes you think, well, it's not very much, $10 from each pendant isn't very much, but certainly when you add numbers over time, then this all makes a contributing factor. Also been for fundraising, and then we've partnered with the Canadian Ukrainian Youth Association, and this is the youth association connected to the Ukrainian Orthodox Church in Canada, so the youth wing, and they immediately embraced to be able to undertake some fundraising efforts. They partnered with the Vietnamese community to be able to do a fundraising event, other local initiatives with a market with Ukrainian newcomers, because we're also receiving refugees, or we don't call them refugees, we call them newcomers from Ukraine to the Winnipeg area. So in terms of supporting that aspect as well. And again, funds are sent to Community Self-Help to be able to raise awareness. I worked on developing a brochure. This has been distributed throughout Winnipeg at the Ukrainian Self-Reliance League National Convention in Edmonton that was held in August, as well as the Ukrainian Canadian Congress Triennial Congress that was held in October here in Winnipeg. So by having a brochure, we're able to have further distribution of information. As Michael said earlier, that communication is imperative, so that ongoing understanding and knowledge in terms of the activities of Community Self-Help, how to access their information via their website, news briefings, and what have you, to be able to gain an understanding as to their activities and the impact of their activities in that human perspective. The Ukrainian Canadian Congress in Canada is the umbrella organization for the Ukrainian diaspora. And so each province will have a local chapter. And so here in Manitoba, I've been able to participate in activities such as the Ukrainian Day events, with having a display to be able to provide further information, pictorial, written information to all those in attendance, so that they're also able to learn and gain an understanding as to the activities of Community Self-Help. As I had mentioned earlier, in October, that there was the Triennial Conference of the Ukrainian Canadian Congress held in Winnipeg. So it was the National Congress. It happens every 3 years. It's fortunate that it happened in October of this year and in Winnipeg, where there were delegates from across Canada. There was representation from the federal government. The Prime Minister of Canada was in attendance. The Deputy Prime Minister of Canada, several other from the federal government, members of Parliament from Manitoba and other provinces as well. So this provided an opportunity for greater awareness of what community self-help activities are. And so I was able to not only have a display to be able to share the information one-on-one, but also I was given the opportunity to be able to address the delegates briefly as well in sharing Community Self-Help's activities. So all of these pieces all connect together to be able to provide support. And so that's what my role has been, and I share this on social media to further disseminate the information for Community Self-Help. Because that connection, making that human connection as to how the funds are used, whether that be monetary funds, funds that individuals are donating directly, funds that are from fundraising efforts, so the individuals can see how responsive Community Self-Help is. So that's been my role in terms of that, raising awareness and local fundraising. The plan moving forward is through the Ukrainian Youth Association, is to have, because they have chapters throughout Canada, is that they will become more active in distributing the brochure, and if they're able to also begin to take on some other fundraising efforts or awareness in each of their areas throughout Canada. And so, as I said, it's a village that's connected throughout the world to be able to support in specific community self-help. And so again, I thank you with gratitude for whatever, even a small part that I'm able to play. Thank you. Дякую.
Дякую, Lorraine.
Thank you very much, Lorraine. I'd like to share. So this is what Lorraine was selling in Canada. That's how it looked like. And they created big fundraising. So I mean, like last year, it was approximately $2,000, even more, and in the last period. So like one more times. So this money really helps sometimes to like procure some kind of medicine. Just like recently, I won't tell that because I see that today somehow I'm really emotional. So they are helping. This is helping. When we have money, we have the opportunity to help either to militaries who are in rehabilitation or those who are like IDPs. So that is some kind of the operative budget, operation budget that we can provide quickly. We can quickly provide some aid and procure the right medicine prescribed by doctors. I guess I will take the floor before Marta so that we can show, if possible, my presentation. And then I would be able just to end our reporting part or like financial part, I guess. So can we have the presentation? Thank you very much. So we've got now on the slide, we can see what needs we were spending money for. And as I mentioned, most of all that's medicine, like the first and second position. You can see it's more like personal, but then still we have tourniquets or like medical kits. So most funds were spent on either like medicine or logistics in order to like bring that medicine to the front line. In general, we collected like in dollars, like in hryvnias, it sounds like 2 million, more than 2 million hryvnias, and the money was like for different, like 31%, those were like individual contributions, and so we are supported by both scientific community. We have Stephen Marans from Yale University, Bruce Young, who also, like for many years, is a big friend of our organization and is helping directly to psychologists and many people who are just with the target financial help. They are helping our NGO, and we managed to just direct this money further. And the biggest part we received from different foundations, like French Foundation, Foundation Air Liquide. Thanks to this foundation, we managed to make a good logistics and even to have a payment for those who helped us to provide the medicines, all those like 2 tons, more than 5 tons actually, that we received from the Connecticut State USA, thanks to Foundation Air Liquide, we mentioned, to ensure that the medicine will be brought to places. Also, Japanese Foundation JAD, thanks to which we managed to help to IDPs and to relocated people. It was the help to women, children, beginning with nutrition and like target address aid. Basel Foundation, it's a foundation from Belarus. Now it is in Lithuania. So we managed to buy medicines for Bucha and Borodyanka, and there is a network of medical centers who were writing to us like what they need, and in a month they could receive the medicines most necessary for them. Light Foundation also, it's like one procurement for almost the whole amount, like 10,000 for Bucha, and also it was spent to Bucha and Borodyanka. So that like added to the previous procurements. Rotary Club Austria, Ukrainians of Colorado, Foundation Dobrovoля. Thanks to them, we managed to continue our activity with the storytelling, oral stories, and we managed to record a few stories last year. Rotary Club helped us also to provide psychosocial support for volunteers who had a burnout, just like me myself, with like a lot of information. That information is triggering and some moments are coming up. Ukrainians of Colorado, they helped as well. So that was the help that was aiming at, first of all, it was the application and also procurement. We organized a separate fundraising for the ambulance, which is working and saving lives, Fund Silk. So we can see that foundations are a very important part, and they are really like constructive, and they help us to provide the targeted aid. As for, I guess I will just turn on the map coverage where exactly we were providing our help, beginning with the Western Oblast, where we had more psychosocial support, and Marta will tell a bit more about that right now, to like medical, that is doctors from Mykolaiv, from Odessa Oblast, from Dnipropetrovsk Oblast, and ophthalmology department, which requires really thin surgery threads. So we continue to help them with this. So this is how the map looks like, where we are working right now. And sometimes, so this is how our work looks like. Usually we have communication directly with doctors. They are writing us their requests, and if we have money, we can procure that. If we have no money, we are asking our colleagues from abroad or maybe in Ukraine just the same, so that to help them with their needs. Well, I guess if just briefly, then that's it about the financial part. As for the details, we will save this presentation. We will add that to the information that we are going to share, those who want to study that in more details. And maybe we have questions from participants. Okay, if there are any questions, so please do ask. Yeah, we have the microphone. Rakut Anastasia, Ukrinform. So you were saying that you managed to implement 24 projects. Can you please mention those and tell us what kind of difficulties you faced actually, and what are the prospects of your further work? Thank you very much. Thank you. I guess, can you mention the projects? Yeah, I will try. I hope I will recall all of them. So the first half of those I included to the slides. I am sorry that it's in English, but it's a medical aid project. The project supported by Foundation Air Liquide from France. This is the aid to Dnipro, Mykolaiv, and Kharkiv, those regions where we supported hospitals. Then project equipment and supplies for rescuers. for firefighters. That is what Katya Kurtsova was mentioning. That is what was organized, the whole campaign in the U.S. In Ukraine, we accepted that, and we were spreading that further. And each project is related to the other one, because when the whole container comes to you, the container with the aid, with no support, you cannot do this further. When you have support from funds, with the joint efforts, you can strengthen the impact. That's actually what we were doing. Then distribution and provision of vitamins to women, IDPs, pregnant women, and children, and women who are breastfeeding. That is what Michael was telling yesterday, and I guess our last batch of vitamins that we had, we gave it out 100 kilos of vitamins. I don't remember, but they were really heavy, so a few times 10 packages. So they are heavy. These are good vitamins, British, American, and from Europe. Our partners were procuring that. I think if we mention all the 24 projects, that is too long. I offer just to share the list of those because there is also the financing and what each project was targeting, and psycho-social component, because not always people need material things. Sometimes they need the system of help, and also legal help, especially if those are people who survived torturing, or they are looking for their relatives who just disappeared. Or we have the hotline who is helping people who are looking for someone. So they are looking for and the biggest happiness is when they write that thanks to your support I did not make mistakes that can be done as of today, because a lot of risky things, when people are looking for their relatives, there are some mistakes they make. Their relatives who are captured suffer even more. So when they are saying that that person was returned, and that really helps. All our projects are aiming at either psychological or medical aid. They all have scientific component. We are working with a lot of universities, and this is evidence-based approach. We are using the protocol of the World Health Organization. I myself am supervisor and the trainer, one of the programs of MHCAP and Vitalii of Self-Help Plus. We are using American protocols, in particular about psychosocial support, and our service is aiming at being easy and available. We have a lot of international volunteers who are coming, and maybe not for a long time. They are making their input into Ukraine, but this is the external input. And even though our team is small, but the main thing for us is that we are the case. So the main task of our organization is not to demonstrate the influence or something like that, as a big foundation can demonstrate, the foundation Povernes Живем or Return Alive. They say that they collected a lot of millions, and it really helps. But our country can rely on the fact that no matter what kind of foundation is there in our country, due to the fact that there is a lot of us and we are like the bees all together, it's impossible just to kill one and then Ukraine would just stop. Because even if you stop the activity of some foundation or some NGO from Pritula, so usually smaller organizations will be there instead of them. So it's impossible to break us because we are working as a network, and that works. And Russia can't just put their efforts to break one website of information agency and to think that the whole Ukraine just gives up. It doesn't work like that. So we are working in a network. And in order to answer the second part of your question, what kind of challenges we had to face, The main challenges are that we are people from professional community. We are working, like Michael, for example, is ex-military, and the rest of his career he was heading the kindergarten. He's been working with children. That was management. So we are all from the sphere professional field. We've never been working with logistics. So for us to supply medicine, it's something impossible. And it seems to me that in this year, each Ukrainian achieved some skills that were not available before. So now, in the terms of survival, each Ukrainian is just a professional. So each Ukrainian know what is IFAC, what is like how to use a tourniquet, how to help a small child cope with panics. This is what is called stress resistance and challenge resistance. And I know for sure that Ukraine is on its way. More than 100 years of war with Russia. It's going to last for a long time. And it's not the issue of the active phase. It's the fact that there will be attempts in different ways to dominate. We know that our resistance consists of the readiness of people, readiness to like any attack, readiness to any like long-term defending process. And this psychological like resilience is very important. So it's like one bee who is working. They're working all together, and it's the principle how most organizations are working. So we are just like the bees in a hive, but we have the maximal impact. So logistics, it was the biggest challenge for us. Did I answer your question? Thank you. Maybe we have some more questions. So we can just switch. Yeah, we can switch to psychological part. Next year, we are planning to make a few things. The first project is we are planning together with my colleague from Howard University to make a project on supervision component. Supervision in psychosocial aid is really important because it helps the professionals in the field of mental health to grow, develop, and not to burn out, as Vitalii mentioned. Therefore, supervision project, we are going to implement that, and we will help to measure the effect from supervision on the an impact on the client. That is how the support of professionals on like medics, for example. Now we are having huge reforms in the direction of psychosocial support, and family doctors, they uniquely received access to provision of mental health support. So these are the reforms that we need to support, and we need to help them cope with the gaps and to provide the good result which our state cannot ensure in the framework of that the government. It's something big and not really flexible, and they need a lot of time for changes and reforms. The second thing we are planning to do next year, that is the project with the Yale School of Medicine. So for like family context, we are planning to conduct family psychotherapy, which is one of the therapies, the best first choice. There is such a notice as a golden standard of studies, and this component was measured, and it's really efficient therapy. And till this time, our country is, in terms of like psychological intervention, psychological aid, is still really far from the West, so to say. So we need to bring the psychotherapists and to teach them the best practices. So we want to prepare the new 90 psychotherapists like in a few months. So this is the thing that is where we should spend time. So we will be really happy if the society will decide to join us, because it's easier to do together. Thank you very much for being like short. And as for the prospects, we will continue supporting we have already like clear partners who require some aid, like hospitals, Dnipropetrovsk, Kharkiv Oblast, and we have some requests, and we will continue doing that. And one of the projects that we will implement for sure, that is support for hospitals, and also just in the same manner, we will have information war and like war psychology, so to say, because it's the approximate name of our project. How can we prevent propaganda, Russian propaganda? How can we position Ukrainian interest in the international market or international arena? We have 7 more minutes. I guess that we can spend this time for questions if we have some. Or we can sum up and thank you for being here, to thank our partners from abroad who are doing just great support, to thank the team of self-care communities and who continue working, and they continue doing this impact and providing this help that we are providing to IDPs, to doctors, to paramedics, veterans, and psychologists. Yeah, that's a separate direction, which is really powerful, and we continue to develop that. And I truly hope that we will have a big impact. Michael took the microphone.
One other thing that I wanted to say is that in each of the things that we've described, and in my own work, working with shelters, we work from the inside out, and that has been a real strength of community self-help. Is that we're not looking at, we're not making an overview and saying, okay, this, and this. We're actually working from the inside out. We're working from a needs base, so that if I'm in a shelter and I see certain needs that we can meet, then I will bring that to our attention, and so will other people. So this connection, this network, actually is as Martha described. It's like you cannot kill these bees, and so the idea that Russia can overcome.
Одну можна. Одну бджілку.
You can kill one bee, but not all of them.
So I wanted to just point that out again, that we're working from the inside out. We're working from needs-based. So that makes us effective, and it also makes us compassionate. It also makes it important for us to support each other and to have the support of the communities we work with. And that happens, and I just wanted to finish with a short little piece. So yesterday, when we were handing out vitamins, $120 worth of vitamins for a family is impossible to IDP family. It's impossible for them on their own. Well, so, and I basically speak Ukringlish, so I have to working kind of in between languages and help, but the gratitude and then the effectiveness, you just see that this is that you're developing a community by doing this. And again, it's working from the inside out. I was trying to think, how did so many people find out about this? And yet that's because people talk to people, and it's not that they're coming for a handout, they're coming because they are actually giving something back to us. And that's really that's how I felt when I was, after we're done. And that's how I feel anytime we're working with people, is that we are benefiting from them, and therefore we can continue with our work. Okay.
Вода камінь точить, або
So the water can destroy the stone, and together we can win. We are together standing. We continue standing and going to the victory. Glory to Ukraine.
такі брошурки, якщо не знаю, можливо, для поширення десь хтось з вас, ви можете дати декілька.